We're doing chapter 6 and 7. We're doing Nectar of Devotion, Abhīṣṭa-dohaṁ Sindhu. It's a summary study of Bhakti-dohaṁ. So just to give you an overview of what we have done. So if you remember, we started with the preface, introduction, where, preface, Prabhupada gave a history and purpose of this book. And then in the introduction, Rupa Goswami starts speaking. He gives the Mangala Charan, then what are the contents and the definition of devotional service. And then from the first chapter, in the first chapter, Rupa Goswami, he defined the 6 characteristics of pure devotional service. And then in chapter 2, we were taught about what sadhana bhakti is, what are the qualifications of it, definitions, what are the types. Chapter 3, they were the eligibility. We talked about the 3 adhikaris, right? So who's an adhikari? Who's a neophyte devotee? What are the impediments in the process? Then chapter 4, we started from chapter 4, and I think chapter 4 and chapter 5, Rupa Goswami glorifies devotional service. Chapter 4, we are told that devotional service surpasses all liberation. There were so many examples that were given there of different personalities across Bhagavatam and scriptures who reject liberation. Okay? And then in the 5th one, we saw that how bhakti or devotional service is pure. And it does not require anything. It's not requiring pious birth or rituals or varnashrama dharma. Nothing is required. So glorifying. So initially giving us what devotional service means, who's eligible, then glorifying bhakti. That's been the flow of the book as of now. From 6th chapter onwards, Rupa Goswami will become more specific. When I say specific, it means that he will give us specific details about devotional service. Right? And we will see that as we come onto it. So what Rupa Goswami is doing, and I think we touched upon it briefly in the last discussion also, that he's following the instructions that Mahaprabhu gave him. And we can look at those instructions. I just want to show you where the instructions are. They come in the Antya Leela of Antya Leela. Yes, just let me give me a second. I'll open it up and share my screen with you. I'll show you. So both Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami, they get to meet Mahaprabhu twice. Once initially, we read that in the Madhya Leela it comes in, but then towards the end, then they again have a meeting, and then they get a very clear instruction from Mahaprabhu. Okay, so here it is. So this is Rupa Goswami's second meeting with the Lord. This is Antya Leela, chapter 1, 218. Vrajaye rasa shastra karihe nirupan lupta tirtha sabha tahan kariha pracharan. So saying when you go to Vrindavan, you stay there, preach transcendental literature and excavate the holy places. Then he says, Krishna seva rasa bhakti kariha prachar ami dekhite tahan yaimu ekbar. Establish the service of Lord Krishna and preach the mellows of Lord Krishna's devotion service. I shall also go to Vrindavan once more. So this is Rupa Goswami. But then again, in the Antya Leela, there is a chapter 4th one where Sanatan Goswami meets. Excuse me. He's having a sore throat. Sanatan Goswami meets Mahaprabhu the second time. And what does Mahaprabhu tell Sanatan Goswami as an instruction? It comes in verse 79 and 80. So it's a very crisp and clear instructions. That's the quality of a guru, that he knows exactly what the disciple needs to have for their progress and also as a service to Krishna. That's the beauty of, that's the quality, that shows the guru's quality. Bhakta bhakti Krishna prema tatvera nidhar Vaishnavera kritya ara Vaishnava achar. You shall have to ascertain the basic principles of a devotee: devotional service, love of God, Vaishnava duties, and Vaishnava characteristics. Krishna bhakti, Krishna prema, seva pravartan, lupta tirtha udhara, ara vairagya sikshan. You will also have to explain Krishna's devotional service, establish centers for cultivation of love of Krishna, excavate lost places of pilgrimage, and teach people how to adopt the renounced order. So you'll notice here, Mahaprabhu is giving the same instruction, nearly the same instructions to both of them. But one of the essential instructions is to explain Krishna's devotional service, as is being said here. And that's what exactly Rupa Goswami is doing in this book, Nectar of Devotion. He's explaining Krishna's devotional service in a very, very practical way. First, he's giving us an introduction, telling us what devotional service is, what is the qualities of it, who's eligible. Then he starts glorifying it. And then he gives us very, very practical ways how to do it. And that's what we will be touching on today, which is chapter 6, how to discharge devotional service. And so we'll do 6 and 7 today. So 6th chapter is, as Prabhupada is giving us at the beginning, that Sanatana Goswami wrote a book called Hari Bhakti Vilas, and there are many rules and regulations in them. And Rupa Goswami is picking out the important ones out of it for our benefit. And so we have a very beautiful book written by Sanatana Goswami, his brother taking out the essence from there. And then now we have Prabhupada's statements, which are further glorifying Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, and making it perfect for us. Yes, making it perfect for us, right? So there are 64 prominent items that Rupa Goswami has taken out of it. So we'll go over those 64 items. The the Goswamis are glorified as Nana Shastra Vicharine Nipano Sadharma Sastapako. So they established dharma, Sadharma, and they were Nipun. Nipun means expert in what? Nana Shastra Vicharine. They had a very good understanding of all the Shastras, right? So, so once Rupa Goswami has established the supremacy of bhakti, now it is how to practice bhakti. So it's not a philosophical analysis. If you have read the chapter 6, it's not a philosophy. There's no philosophy in there. There's just a list of the 64 items, right? And the way Rupa Goswami has done, there will be a statement and a scriptural reference with it. So these items are not something new that he's presenting from his end. They are just something that's already there, but he's giving scriptural references for it. So Rupa Goswami is just compiling. And then as we go forward, we will see how Prabhupada has very expertly incorporated these into our practices. We all should be very, very appreciative of Prabhupada, that Prabhupada has made bhakti so practical for us. The things that the process that he has laid out for us, that already includes austerities, that already includes services. Everything is included within it. We don't have to go out of it. Many times people say that Prabhupada has not given us this and that. It's all nonsense. Prabhupada has given us everything. The only thing missing is whether I am ready to take it up or not. That's the only thing missing. Prabhupada has everything for us to go back home, back to Godhead. In his books, in his philosophy, in his teachings, we don't need anything else. Yeah. Obviously, I'm not saying that you should not hear others, or it's okay. As long as we have fully assimilated what Prabhupada has given us, then it has everything. So sometimes people say that, oh, Prabhupada didn't give us that, or Prabhupada didn't give us prema bhakti and all that. That's all just nonsense. No, Prabhupada has given us everything. Okay, so let's look at these. One thing Prabhupada is telling us here, after saying that the purport of this statement is that Srila Rupa Goswami proposes to mention only basic principles, not details. For example, a basic principle is that one has to accept a spiritual master. Exactly how one follows the instruction of his spiritual master is considered a detail. For example, if one following the instruction of a spiritual master, if one is following the instruction of a spiritual master and that instruction is different from the instruction of another spiritual master, this is called a detailed information. But the basic principle of acceptance of spiritual master is good everywhere, although the details may be different. Srila Rupa Goswami does not wish to enter into details here, but wants to place before us only the principles. Right? So uh, the applications will vary according to time, place, and circumstance. There is a distinction between principles, which are called the Siddhanta, and the details, which is the Vyavar, how we are executing them. And that's the beauty that Prabhupada has given us, that he modified those things according to time, place, and circumstance. And Acharya can do that. I cannot do it. I'm not an Acharya. No, I'm a neophyte. I'm just beginning. But Prabhupada, being an Acharya, can do all that. Right? For example, chanting. Right? So Prabhupada came here. Prabhupada initially said, "Oh, you all have to do 64 rounds." And they were like, "Oh no, we cannot do it." They were very despondent. All his disciples were like, "Oh, we'll never be able to do it." So Prabhupada brought it down to 16. That was a change according to time, place, and circumstance. Right? Deity worship. Right? In India, if you go, uh, women don't do deity worship, but Prabhupada, he established that women are, taking a very important role in deity worship in ISKCON, especially in countries outside India. So he made that change. And when Prabhupada used to speak, he would never distinguish between his male disciples or women. He always used to say, "All my godsons and my goddaughters, not godsons, all my daughters and sons, they all should become gurus as they go forward." He wanted everybody to become a guru. Right? So all these things, they can vary according to time, place, and circumstance. And that is why we need an acharya to help us with that. Okay, so I'm going to read a few of them. There are 64 in total. So as I said, there's no philosophy in here. There's just a list. I'll read the first five because the first five are related to a guru, and they're really important here. Accepting the shelter of a lotus feet of a bona fide spiritual master, become initiated by the spiritual master, and learning how to discharge devotional service from him, obeying the orders of a spiritual master with faith and devotion, following in the footsteps of great acharyas under the direction of the spiritual master, inquiring from the spiritual master how to advance in Krishna consciousness. So the first being the most important, the first being the beginning, the first thing that we are being told is that we have to, they're about Guru. Right? Oh, wait a minute. Yeah. So this is something I wanted to show you before we jump in. So 64 total practices, 20 of prime importance. Those are the first 20. And then there are 44 additional services. Out of the 20, there are 10 activities we are supposed to do. I just read 5. There are 5 more. And then 10 activities to avoid. And then 21 to 59, there are items of sadhana, things like, oh, you have to put a tilak. When you go to deities, you should pay your obeisances. You should smell the flower, and so on and so forth. So many different items, which, as I said, Prabhupada has very expertly placed in the process for us, that they don't look something, oh, what are we doing? Or did I miss that? No, everything is already there in place for us. And then the last are the 5 most important items, like living in Vrindavan and, reading Srimad Bhagavatam, those 5 items are there. Okay, so good, I brought this up. And then chapter 7 will start expanding upon these principles. So after the 64, the chapter 7 will cover 18 of those items. Okay. So the first 5 being these 5, as we talked about, Guru Padashraya, Shri Krishna Dikshadi Shikshanam, Vishrambhena Guru Seva, Sadhu Vartamanu Vartanam, Sadharma Pricha. And let's see, we'll look at those as we go into the. Okay. Let's read the first 10. Being prepared to give up anything material for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, residing in a sacred place of pilgrimage like Dwarka or Vrindavan, accepting only what is necessary, dealing with the material world only as far as necessary, observing the fasting day of Ekadashi, and worshipping sacred trees like the banyan tree. So these things we have to do. And what do they do? What do these things do? If we observe them, we'll make good advancement in Krishna consciousness. So these are very important for advancement. And then the next 10 are instructions which we are not supposed to do. So we're saying give up company of devotees, non-devotees. Don't instruct person who's not desirous of accepting devotional service. One should not be very enthusiastic about constructing temples. And so they're not to do. And if we don't follow them, then we will not be able to elevate ourselves in bhakti. So it's not just doing the right thing, it's also avoiding the wrong things. Both of those are necessary. Right? And then there are the other ones. So let's just look at these items. So in 7th chapter, as I said, we are going to expand upon them. So the first 5 are about a guru. So Prabhupada, so a guru, guru is a person also, and guru is also a principle. Okay. We all have our individuality. Different spiritual masters have different moods. You know, Prabhupada and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, they spoke very differently. But if you have read the Brahma Samhita was translated and purports by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. It's very erudite, very scholarly written. When you'll read it, it's a very crisp language, well written English. Prabhupada, on the other hand, was not that deep into the language, but he was very good in expanding the philosophy. He used to do that, right? So even though they were very different, Prabhupada perfectly internalized Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's mood, right? So how do we know a person's mood? How do we know Guru's mood? That is by listening, by hearing from them, right? Then we can understand what themes that Guru is emphasizing, right? And then we can also look what service is that the Guru is focusing on. Right? So it requires a lot of understanding. And the Guru just does not tell what service to do, but the Guru also tells what mood you should do the service in. Because broadly, spiritual master is meant to help us develop our personal relationship with Krishna. Right? And the best disciple is the one who understands not just the service, but also the mood behind the service. The spirit and the intent, both of them have to be understood. So sometimes it may seem different. Excuse me. Sorry, I have some cough. So if you know Gaur Kishore Das Babaji gave 3 instructions to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Okay, so what were those 3? Don't go to Calcutta, don't associate with material people, and don't make disciples. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was very proud of that. He said, yes, my Guru gave me some instruction. But everybody thought he did the opposite of the instruction what his Guru gave him. But Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, no, I followed them perfectly. So when Gaur Kishore Das Babaji told him, don't take disciples, but he had many disciples. So what Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, I don't take disciples as mine. They are representatives of my Guru who have come to teach me. Right? Then when Gaur Kishore Das Babaji told him, don't associate with material people. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, I don't associate with material people. Because association means that I'm taking something from them. I'm not taking anything from them. I'm giving them something. And then the third instruction was that don't go to Calcutta. So as we all know, he was in Bagh Bazaar. If anybody of you have been to Mayapur and Calcutta and seen that, Bagh Bazaar has a beautiful ashram where Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to live. and that's where he left his body. There's a beautiful museum there now. If ever go, there's a beautiful museum also there. And then so he said, no, no, yeah, you're saying don't go to Calcutta? No, no, Bagh Bazaar is not Calcutta. It's the embassy of spiritual world. It's not in Calcutta. What the reason I'm giving you this example is because the the guru's instruction has to be understood with the intent and with the spirit. Both of them have to be there. Right? If you would have just looked at the what was being said, then Bhaktivedanta Satish Thakur is wrong then. No, but then he's not wrong. Sometimes it may seem different than the message. Uh, so that thought process has to develop for the disciple, that we can maturely understand what the guru's intent is, what is the guru's spirit, what is his mood behind it. Right? Prabhupada was preparing for 30 years to fulfill his master's desires to have a global movement. Right? So yeah. So and then if you all remember, I told you once a story of the four daughter-in-laws, right? That the father-in-law was thinking which of these daughter-in-law should I make the head of the household, and he called all four, and then he gave them 5 grains to each one of them, and he said, "I'll take it from you after 5 years." So the first one thought that the old man has gone crazy, so she threw it away. The second one ate those grains. The third one tied it in a piece of cloth and put it in her temple. The fifth one, being the smart one, she actually planted those grains, and a lot of crops came out. And over 5 years, those crops grew. And after 5 years, when the father-in-law asked his daughter-in-laws to bring those grains, the first one uh, got scared. Oh my God, I ate them. So she bought some other ones. But the father-in-law could know, oh no, this is not the one. The second one also did something similar, and father-in-law knew that she had also not taken proper care of his instruction. The third one, at least she was faithful. She kept those grains with her, but then she didn't do anything. But the last one was faithful and thoughtful. Okay. So that's the important part. When we have a guru, we have to understand, be faithful and thoughtful so that we can understand the spirit and the intent of a guru. So accepting the shelter of a bona fide spiritual master, that's what it means. Okay? That what does it mean? That okay, yeah, we all take shelter of a spiritual master, but then understanding the intent and spirit, understanding, being faithful and thoughtful, that is the important part. Because our connection with the spiritual world is through the spiritual master. In the spiritual world, there are three energies: Samvit, Sandhini, and what's it? Samvit, Sandhini, and Hladini. Yes. So Samvit, Sandhini, and Hladini. So Samvit and Sandhini is what provides the facilities to us. Okay. Samvit gives us the knowledge, and Hladini provides the result. Okay. So 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 what the guru does is he takes responsibility on behalf of Krishna to share the knowledge of what to do with the resources of this world. So he's uh, the Samvit potency, which is the facility potency, is manifest through the spiritual master. And then when we use that knowledge, then our service goes up through the spiritual master to Krishna. And then Krishna's mercy comes down. Okay? And then we become happy. Happy means Hiladini. Hiladi is result, which means happiness. So Guru gives us that knowledge, and then Guru accepts our service, and then again Guru gives us ecstasy. So in that sense, the spiritual master is manifesting the knowledge and the bliss of bhakti for us. Therefore, the spiritual master is not like any other soul. He's a very, very special soul who connects with us to Krishna. That's why the first 5 instructions that Rupa Goswami is giving us are related to a spiritual master. Right? So first is accepting the shelter of a spiritual master, accepting initiation. We all know the process of initiation. Prabhupada established this process of initiation, which is very much like a commitment, right? Like we marriage, right? Yeah, you can have a live-in relationship. You can have a you know, any sort of relationship, but unless marriage is not there, the relationship is not complete. It's not consummated. It's not committed. Anytime you can just say, oh no, okay, I don't like you anymore. I'm going. We don't have anything binding, so I can leave. But then that doesn't give us the complete satisfaction either. The complete satisfaction comes, that complete commitment comes when we have uh, when the initiation aspect happens. Okay, right? And what is the purpose of initiation, as I said, is primarily for commitment. You can study all medical books at home to become a doctor. You, however, make a commitment by enrolling in a university. And also, a certificate comes at the end. You cannot become a doctor just by registering in the college, but certificate comes. But then also, bhakti is not just limited to those who are who are initiated. So don't get into that also thought. Oh no, no, if only if you get initiated, will we get bhakti? No, it's not that. But it's a very important part. It's not it's not that it has to happen, but then it's necessary. It's important for our progress, especially as Kali Yuga is going downhill. It becomes important for us, right? So Mahaprabhu didn't officially initiate Rupa and Sanatan Goswami. Diksha was more in heart, and then transmission of knowledge happened. As we all know, both of them they were working in the Bengal government, Dabir Khas and Sakar Malik, and they both went to Mahaprabhu and surrendered to him wholeheartedly. They gave up everything they had, and Mahaprabhu became very happy. So that's also Diksha. That's also initiation. That they surrendered everything, and then transmission of knowledge happened. Right. So in that case, when the shiksha happened, right, the knowledge was transferred. So that also included Diksha. So Diksha, as I said, was more of formalization. You have to take admission, which makes it solidified. Right. Spiritual master is the one who guides us into the university, but then he's not the only teacher. He's our primary teacher, but then there are other teachers also to teach us. So as I was saying, Guru is not just a person, he's also a principle. So we are not just connecting with that one Guru and all the other gurus are useless. No, no, it's not that. That's very offensive to even think that way. Right? In ISKCON, we have had incidents where devotees have become fanatical about their gurus and push others to take initiation from their guru. Right? But ultimately, what is going to elevate people is graduation from the university, right? So yes, we can recognize our guru as a primary teacher, but then we cannot diverse our guru from the sampradaya. There's a sampradaya that he's a part of. So we learn from all of them. So yeah. And as I was saying, that it's not just that initiation. Um, can we not go back to Godhead without initiation? Somebody asked me this question many years ago. So by chanting, you can go back to Godhead. Just to be clear, there's a verse in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that says that. Okay? And but then, if you see what Rupa Goswami is doing, following Mahaprabhu's instruction, the first 5 items he's bringing are about Guru. So why is he doing that? Because he knows that there can always be exceptions. I'm not saying that, but the exceptions doesn't become the main principle, right? Exceptions don't falsify the rule. There can always be exceptions, no problem, but they don't become the rule. The rule is you always need a guru. You always have to take initiation to move forward. Right? So in principle, chanting can, yes, take us back. Right? But then as in the same time, chanting is a part of process to develop love of God. We need examples of those who have developed that love of God. And we want to see them. Right? Because we see Prabhupada's disciples who we know from different disciples' books and so forth that at one time they were Some of them were drug addicts. Some of them were in jail and whatnot. But then they have become pure devotees. So that gives us hope that wherever we are now, we can reach their level also. Right? Uh, Sha- uh, Sham Sundar Prabhu, right? So Sham Sundar Prabhu, uh, I don't know if you know the story, but Sham Sundar Prabhu had to go to jail after he had met Prabhupada. He had to go to jail because he was dealing in drugs or something. He called up Prabhupada from jail and said, Prabhupada, I have to go to jail. Prabhupada said, oh, no problem. Krishna was also born in a jail. So Prabhupada asked him, why do you have to go to jail for? He said, oh, I was dealing in drugs. Prabhupada said, oh, no problem. I was also dealing in drugs. Prabhupada was a pharmacist, as you all know. So that's another quality of a guru. He knows how to motivate his disciples. And that really made Shamsundar Prabhu feel very good. He said, okay, my guru is, Prabhupada is not like, he's not chastising me for doing something wrong. He's just saying, yeah, okay, that's fine. We have to go through what we have to go through, and that's okay. Right? So Krishna gives his mercy through pure devotees. So yeah, so initiation, that is why initiation is important. Okay? So just wanted to bring that point out. And then serving the spiritual master with faith and confidence. And then, so so in Mundaka Purisha, there is a verse, Tad Vijnanartham sa guru mevabhigachet, right? Samit pani shrotriyam brahmanishtam. That to understand the knowledge of Shastra, one must humbly approach a spiritual master who's learned in Vedas. Right? And there's this another verse in another Upanishad that Prabhupada has quoted quite a Yasya Devi Para Bhakti Yatha Devi Tatha Guru. Right? So only those people who have full faith in the Lord and the spiritual master are the details of the Vedic knowledge revealed to them. Right? So that is why serving with faith and confidence will eventually lead into automatically revealing all the knowledge to us. Right? Krishna from within our heart does that. We have read that in the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Tesham Sarva Yuktanam Bhajate Priti Purvakam Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam Ye Namam Upayanti Te. Right? So yeah, so we serve the Guru, and we follow in the footsteps of saintly persons. I've touched on this, that it's not just that my Guru is the only one and everybody else is useless. No, it doesn't work, as we are a part of a sampradaya, right? Um, and Prabhupada's mercy himself is manifesting in three different ways. Prabhupada's mercy manifests in his disciples, in his books, and then devotees in general, right? So that's why this point is very important here. Following in the footsteps of saintly people. For example, ISKCON follows GBC, the governing body commission. And we all are following the instructions given by them. Like you all doing this Bhakti Shastri course, certification course, or doing service in the temple. All those are guided and defined by the GBC. So we are getting Prabhupada's mercy through GBC also. So those are the saintly persons. Right? That's how we all are connected to the parampara. And all, it's not that before Prabhupada there was no acharya. Yes, previous acharyas are also sadhus. Just because they're not a part of ISKCON, we should not disrespect them. They are serving Mahaprabhu in a different mood from what Prabhupada has given us. So, however, as Prabhupada has taught us, we don't judge, but we should be ready to discriminate. Okay? So, what I mean by judging is when you judge somebody, it's a tendency to make some evaluation about others. And it leads to a feeling of supremacy or condemnation. That when I look down upon somebody, I feel superior. And if somebody is doing better than me, I feel, I start condemning that person. I start becoming jealous or envious. So that's judging. Okay? Right? That's why Krishna says in the which chapter? Fifth chapter, right? Brahmane gavi hastini suni chaiva supakecha pandita samadarshina. There is no judging for a pandita. On the other hand, discrimination is important. Right? Discrimination means knowing what is favorable or unfavorable for my spiritual progress. Let's say I avoid interacting with a devotee. I can be judging the devotee. Oh, he's not smart enough. He's not good enough for me. He's useless. I won't interact with him. That's judging. But if I understand that my interaction with that devotee can lead to some disturbance in my spiritual practice, and that is why I am distancing myself from that devotee, then it's discrimination, right? So that is discrimination. So there has to be a healthy spiritual discrimination where a devotee discriminates between activities that lead towards spiritual enlightenment and those that distract from the goal of pleasing Krishna. This has to be there, but no judging. Right? So so it's important in that way. And then, yeah, inquiring about eternal principles, religious principles from your guru. That's something. That's something is another one. In inquiring, we all know there's this famous verse from the fourth chapter. Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadikshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattva darshina. 434. So tad vidhi pranipatena. It has to be vidhi according to the process. Pranipat. So we have to be subservient, not ask questions as if showing to the guru that I am better than you. You don't know this. Okay. And but the guru, because the guru is I remember there was a case where once Prabhupada was quoting a verse and he said to his disciple, go look for this verse in this chapter. And that disciple said, oh, Prabhupada, it's not in this chapter. It's in this other chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada didn't say anything to him, but later on he asked him, did you find out which chapter it is in? And then the disciple knew that, oh, he had made a mistake because it was in the chapter that Prabhupada was saying it is in. So the disciple should not be in that mode, that humility without humility mode. He has to be in a humble mode. So inquire, but in a humble mode. Also, not to inquire about random things. Oh, Gurudev, should I buy this car or this car? Should I, invest in this stock market or that stock? Don't ask all those questions to Guru. Ask questions which are relevant for your spiritual progress. I'm not saying your guru might or might not answer if you're asking some irrelevant questions. He might or might not. But as a disciple, it's also your duty to be cautious enough to know what kind of questions to ask your guru. But then don't also become so scared to ask questions that you don't ask anything. Understand that your guru is like your father. He knows everything. My spiritual master knows what a fool I am. So sometimes I don't feel ashamed of asking questions to him because I know, what can I hide from him? He already knows who I am. However smart or fancy I can be, wearing nice kurta and everything, but then he knows down deep what Prem Dham is. So sometimes I ask him some questions, but then they're in humility. So yeah, my guru accepts it. So understanding that inquiring, but it has to be in a very subservient mode. These are the 5 important ones. I'll take a pause here and see if anybody has any thoughts or comments or questions, if you have anything. Because these 5 are the most important ones. Prabhupada has spent a lot of time on this. The other ones also we'll cover.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. There was a sentence that you mentioned, and it was written that to take the instructions from the spiritual master, and we have to take the instructions of the other gurus as well. So in case, say, and it may differ. That was also written in that sentence. So I just wanted to ask if suppose there are 2 instructions which may be given by this our spiritual master and then by another guru, and they differ, which one we will be following at that particular moment.
So your question is that if your guru is giving a different instruction and the other guru is giving a different instruction?
And both are relevant, according to the basic principles, not that they are not relevant according to the basic principles. So in that situation, what will be our take? which instruction to follow?
Well, first of all, you should clarify with your spiritual master this thing that Guru Maharaj, this is the instruction I got from you. This is the other instruction coming to me. And that other instruction coming could be through let's say you're a part of a temple community and the temple community is asking, or the temple leaders are asking you to do something which you feel is not properly aligned with what your guru says. You should always go and check with your guru.
So we have to talk to our spiritual master about it.
Yes, clarify with him.
Okay, got it.
See, it's sometimes it can be a bit confusing because we don't understand the whole picture. You know, there are so many, like in any place, right? I go to work, the things that my manager knows, I don't know. And things that my manager's manager know, so there's always a hierarchy of knowledge. And same within ISKCON. For example, you might think that, there was so many things that happened in ISKCON. What did GBC do? But if you go and ask GBC, or if you dig deep, you will realize that GBC did a lot of things to not only prevent those things from happening again, but they also helped the people who went through those things. So I'm just giving an example. But yes, you should always go and confirm with your guru if you feel that the instructions are contradictory.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the first thing you should do. And then if your guru says, and guru always, see, a guru knows what Prabhupada's mood is. Prabhupada established ISKCON, Prabhupada established services, and the guru knows exactly what the mood is. And he will give you an answer which will not just satisfy what he is saying, but also bring the other instructions you have got into the right frame for you.
Yeah.
So it always happens that way. It's just that I'm lacking in that understanding.
Yeah, that sounds great. Thank you. Thank you so much for clarifying that.
You're welcome. Any more thoughts, anyone? So this concept of guru is important to understand, because as ISKCON is growing, we sometimes get trapped in that my guru concept and say only, oh, my guru is the only guru, or what my guru has said is the only thing, everybody can go to hell. No, and even your guru will not appreciate that if you have that philosophy, because this whole movement is Prabhupada's, and every guru is Prabhupada's disciple or Prabhupada's grand disciple. They all are following Prabhupada's instructions, so they cannot be in disharmony. It's me who is in disharmony. So it's important to understand this concept of guru. Okay, let's stop. Anything from anyone? Nothing? Okay. All clear about guru. Okay, so now let's look at the other ones that in the 7th chapter, Rupa Goswami has covered. So if you, I'll just confirm this to you. Going back to the 6th chapter, because 6th chapter, as I said, was just a list of all the items. So the first 5 we just discussed. Then the next 6 are going to be discussed up to 10. And then these items, which is another set of 10 items, up to 8. These 8, Rupa Goswami will condense in the remaining 7, in the remaining ones of those, whatever he's going to discuss. So these 8 plus 5, that makes it 13. So all of that will be covered in the remaining ones, which are there are 18 items discussed in total in the 7th chapter. 5 we have already discussed, so 13 are remaining. So the ones remaining are 5 from the first list, and then 8 from this list. And you will notice that from 9 onwards, these are the 10 offenses of chanting. We have discussed this while I think it was during Bhagavad Gita sometime, the 10 offenses. We'll go through it again once briefly again. This is the 8th chapter of this book. That's where it was from. So yes, so Prabhupada and Rupa Goswami are covering exactly what has been given in the 6th chapter. Just wanted to establish that. They're not bringing these things out of thin air. Okay. Being prepared to give up everything material for Krishna's satisfaction, and then residing in a sacred place. So this concept is clear by itself, that everything, being prepared to give up everything for Krishna's service. If heart is full of material things, then there is no space for Krishna. So when we remove those things, make space for Krishna, then Krishna comes in, um, can come and live in there. Okay. Then the next item is residing in a sacred place. Right? In the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 13th chapter, when Vidura comes back to Hastinapur, Yudhishthir asks him a lot of questions. How's everybody doing, and this and that. But he says a very beautiful statement in there. He says, Bhavat Veda Bhagavatas Tirtha Bhuta Swayam Vibho Tirtha Kunvanti Tirthani Swanthasthena Gata Brta. He said that devotees like you practically carry the spiritual places in your heart. Okay. So we shouldn't go to a spiritual place for as a vacation, or capturing pictures. That shouldn't be our goal. Mahaprabhu said, Aradhyo Bhagavan Brajesha Tad Dhama Vrindavana. He said that Dhama Vrindavan is not different from Krishna himself. And it's a pure devotee who reveals and creates the Dham for us. That's the mood Prabhupada has given us. We read this mood in the Nectar of Instruction 11th chapter. Right? Prabhupada explains this. Once again, I want to clarify. I'm not saying that what ISKCON is saying is the perfect thing. No, I'm not saying it. There might be other Gaudiya Vaishnavas or other Vaishnavas that might feel that living in Vrindavan is important. And it's okay, it's important. We, being all Prabhupada Anugas, followers of Prabhupada, we follow what Prabhupada has given us. Right? I was thinking about this the other day that, let's say there is something my mother cooks. The exact same dish, all of your mothers might cook. But it's not like you will like my mother's dish. No, you will like your mother's dish because there's mother's love in that dish. Yeah. Same for me. There's something my mother cooks and I love it. Nobody in the world can make it that tasty because my mother's love is there. So similarly, yes, multiple people might be doing the same thing. They might be doing things differently. But for us, because we love Prabhupada, what Prabhupada has given us is the important thing in us. So for us, residing in a sacred place means we have to have that understanding that it's the devotees who make a place spiritual and sacred. So it's the devotees who, accompanied by the internal potency, by his advancement in devotional service, right? That's the purity of a devotee. So when he or she comes to a dham, then the dham manifests from his heart. When a pure devotee comes to a place, then the place is never the same. The ISKCON of Baltimore temple, it's not a temple, it's an embassy from the spiritual world. Prabhupada walked in that temple. A pure devotee walked in that temple. So that temple can never be an ordinary place. The whole world can change, but that temple will always be a place of pilgrimage for us. Because Prabhupada walked there, a pure devotee walked there. Right? And if we come with the right heart and mindset, we can experience the dham there. Right? And sometimes the dham may be manifest to us, sometimes not manifest. It has to be revealed by devotees. Right? So sometimes a temple building is not used anymore. It has potency, but it's not manifest, right? So, like for example, Mahaprabhu had to come and identify Radhakund. So then it became kind of became manifest. And these dhamas, it's not like their dhama or these dhams are not perfect. The dhams are like perfect, more perfect, and most perfect. When Jagannath Puri is Vipralamba Bhav, Mahaprabhu would go there and cry for Krishna and Radharani. So it's Vipralamba, separation, love and separation. If you go to Gambhira, there's a room in Gambhira where Mahaprabhu used to sit and do his meditation. And so whatever the mellows are in Vrindavan, they're overflowing in Jagannath Puri. Okay. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur preferred the Govardhan. There's a Chataka Parvat on which his kuti is there. Kutir, if you go to Mayapur anytime. Yeah. So Mahaprabhu said, you should live in Vrindavan, if not physically, then in mood. So when you go to Dham, it's like developing a relationship with it. Scriptural revelations, sensory perception, and that leads to realization of bhava. Yeah. I was in Vrindavan for 5 days. There is a place where it's called the Brahmand Ghat, where Yashoda Maiya caught Krishna eating sand, and she told him to open his mouth, and he showed the whole Brahman to her. So I'm sitting there, and for a minute, if you could just realize that Krishna walked on this place, his footmarks were on this place. There is Raman Reti, where the soil is so soft, people actually come and roll in that soil in Raman Reti. Then you go to Radha Kund, you go to Uddhav Kund, you go to all these places, and you can realize that the bhava can grow in your heart. Prabhupada has taught us that when you go to Dham, we should have some service. Narottam Das Thakur thinks that, right? Vishaya chadiya kabe shuddha habe mana, kabe hame herabo Shri Vrindavana. That when will this Vrindavana be manifest in my heart? So that's the thought around a sacred place. Accepting only what is necessary. We have, I will not go over this. We have read this in the Nectar of Instruction, right? Was that Utsaha Nishya Dhairya Tat Karma Pravartanat Sangatyaga Shato Vritti Sadvir Bhaktir Prasiddhati. And then there was the first one, Atyahara Priyasischa Prajalpo Niyamagraha Jan Sangha Chandolyamcha Sadvir Bhaktir Nishyati. So don't do Atyahara. Atyahara is when you accept more than what is necessary. Don't do that. Bring this thought process in everything you do. Either it's professional life, personal life, spiritual, anything. Bring it everywhere. I don't have to collect for more than what is necessary. And if somehow you've got more than what is necessary, use it for Krishna's service. But be cautious. Don't try to grab onto more than necessary, just thinking, oh, I'll use it for Krishna's service. And eventually you can either use it for Krishna's service and it just stays with you. So it can be an offense also. So be careful. Okay. Observing fasting on Ekadashi. Yes, a very good thing to do. Right. So on Ekadashi days, we take on more devotional service. Prabhupada says this I always like Prabhupada's very clear-cut and simple instructions. In the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, Prabhupada gives us in the 12th chapter that what is Ekadashi, right? So he clearly says on Ekadashi, no grains, cereals or beans are to be eaten. And then he says simply vegetables and milks are moderately taken, and then chanting of Hare Krishna and reading of scriptures are increased. Right? So Prabhupada has given us a very simple thing. No grains, no cereals, no beans. Okay? And now you can complicate it as much as you want. You know? Or you cannot eat that vegetable. You cannot eat this vegetable. Or you cannot cook it this way. You cannot cook it that way. You cannot add this spice. You can add that spice. You can confuse it as much as you want to. But that takes the essence of it. That is why Prabhupada made it very simple for us. There is this... the American Navy in the 1970s, they came up with this principle of KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. You can read about it. And the whole purpose was just to not overcomplicate things. And Prabhupada did that for us also. So the purpose of observing Ekadashi is so that you can increase your chanting and reading of scriptures. The purpose of Ekadashi is not to not eat grains and cereals and meat. Yes, that is the basic fact there. But that's not the purpose of Ekadashi. The purpose of Ekadashi is to increase your chanting and increase your reading and hearing. Right? You can load up on your sadhana on that day. Right? You're doing 16 rounds, try to do 24 rounds that day. Right? Collect as much as you can. So it leaves an impression on your mind. Right? So we take these opportunities to make a strong impression for ourselves. Right? And then you will realize one day that, oh my God, looks like I've been cheating myself. I can easily do 24 rounds every day. So whenever you get these opportunities to increase your sadhana, increase your vows, then add on to it. And Ekadashi is one of those days. Observing Ekadashi on is one of those days. So observing respect to the banyan trees. And it's just Prabhupada has given it banyan. Prabhupada has said it's banyan, but then it's other tree, like all other trees. He said Dhatri, Ashwathadi, Gauravam. So it's Ashwatha. It's also the people tree. And so in general, Tulsi is also covered into this thought process. So offering respect to them. However, you have to understand that it's not that we are tree worshippers. Something to clarify. When you look at the Bhagavatam, there are all these incarnations. He'll come as Kurma, he'll come as a boar, he'll come as a half lion, half man. We all are loving and respecting and in reverence of the Lord who comes in these different forms to help his devotees. It's not like I'm a pig worshipper. It's not like I'm a tortoise worshipper or a tree worshipper. No, what I am respecting is that everything in this creation has a relationship with Krishna. Every way, in whatever form he is coming, he's beautiful because he's coming to serve and help his devotees. That's what we are appreciating. So the essence still remains Krishna. Yes, he's coming in different forms. Similarly, in all the trees, the essence is still there that they have a relationship with Krishna. That is the beauty of a personal relationship with Krishna. We name trees, we name rivers, right? We always tell children that don't kill the rat, don't kill the ant, insignificant animal. No, because we see the relationship to Krishna that ant has. So all these, when we say respect to trees, don't put in your mind that we are just blunt tree worshippers or tree huggers. No, we see a relationship of those with Krishna. That is why we are doing it. Okay, so yes, trees. And then what comes after that? Giving up the company of known devotees. This we have read in the Nectar of Instruction, right? We should give up the company of non-devotees because they can harm our bhakti process. Right? Don't consider yourself that I can manage it. I can go and hang out and with meat eaters and not be affected by it. No, you can. We're not at that stage. As I explained last time, yes, we all are pure devotees, but then we have different grades. We have different adhikars. I'm still a ripe mango. I'm not a raw mango. Sorry, I'm a raw mango, not a ripe mango yet. I'm on that path. I will be reaching there. I don't know when, but that doesn't give me. But my adhikar is still limited. So don't try to overreach your adhikar. Otherwise, that could hurt our process of bhakti. And then Prabhupada and Rupa Goswami, they club, I think, a few of them. Okay, this is an interesting one. Not accepting unfit disciples, constructing many temples, or reading many books. Okay, that's something interesting. So why not have unfit disciples? Because it's a spiritual responsibility. A guru takes on the karma of their disciples. So when the guru initiates an unqualified person, it can make the practice difficult for both of them. Right? Then if an unfit disciple comes into the parampara, then they may distort the teachings. They may misrepresent the parampara. Right? So that's why the guru should not have unfit disciples. Right? Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was very selective about giving diksha. He always would prefer quality over quantity. And so the surrender has to be there and that sincerity has to be there in the heart. So not accepting unfit disciples. Then constructing many temples. Let's just take this minute back. Not accepting unfit. Sometimes people think that if we should not accept unfit disciples, why did Prabhupada accept so many disciples that were unfit? And what's more, sannyas is prohibited in the Kali Yuga, but Prabhupada gave sannyas to so many young people who had no clue what sannyas was, about the sannyas ashram, about the Vedas and anything, but he gave that. So once again, going back to the initial beginning of the 6th chapter, time, place, and circumstance. Things can be changed by an acharya according to the time, place, and circumstance. Prabhupada gave sannyas to young people because it was required. Principles of dharma, they're not static, they're dynamic. Right? Prabhupada wanted to carry on this mission, and he had no other way other than taking people out of this Maya and their material family lives and just bring them into a sannyas platform, then let them do that, let them preach the whole time. Teaching was very important for Prabhupada. Right? So essential principle of dharma is to do what raises our consciousness and other people's consciousness to take us to Krishna. Prabhupada wanted Krishna consciousness to spread far and wide, and he empowered his disciples. He took a risk. Right? So Prabhupada can do that. So this instruction is for everybody. It's for a pure, like a Uttam Adhikari. And then even a Kanishta Adhikari can look at it that, okay, I have this understanding that in the future, as Prabhupada has said, all my daughters and sons should become gurus. People have to understand that they're also, and we all are guru in one sense or the other. You all have people who reach out to you and ask you questions, and you answer them. So you're also guru. So this instruction is also for all of us, not accepting unfit disciples. So, but if need be, there could be a need, and an acharya can make changes according to this. Constructing many temples. This is another interesting thing, right? Somebody asked Prabhupada that, why do you make so many such elaborate temples if Rupa Goswami has said not to make such temples? Prabhupada said, I can live under a tree, no problem. I'm a sannyasi. I have zero problem. But will you come to me to take instructions if I'm living under a tree? No, you will not. So as an instruction, yes, we should not construct many temples. Another reason for not constructing temples that is being brought out here is some activities, if you get sucked into too much, they can disturb your sadhana. Now, obviously, making a temple requires so many things. You have to deal with so many material people. The constructing, the material that where it's coming from, the electrician, the plumber, whatnot. That can affect our sadhana. So, to keep our practice intact, this is one instruction being given to us. Then reading many books. Okay. No, so reading many books, obviously Prabhupada himself asked us, he said it in the first verse of Bhagavad. I think, let me show you. He says this in the first verse of Bhagavatam, if I remember that correctly. Oh, okay. So I'm just looking at if I can find that statement. I wanted to show you that Prabhupada himself was asking that it's okay you should read other acharyas' books. Okay. Oh yeah, here it is. Let me share my screen with you. I found it. It's the first. It's the first. This is 1.1.1 of Srimad Bhagavatam. So Prabhupada is saying, within the past 500 years, many erudite scholars and acharyas like Jiva Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, Vishwanath Chakravarti, Vallabhacharya, and many other distinguished scholars, even after the time Lord Chaitanya made elaborate commentaries on the Bhagavatam. And the serious student would do well to attempt to go through them to better relish the transcendental message. So it's not that Prabhupada said, oh no, you should not read other devotees. What it means here, the reason this is being brought up here, of not reading many books, the reason is that sometimes what can happen is that we can lose focus on Siddhanta, the principle. So I've mentioned this many times. Prabhupada said, first assimilate what I have given you, and then you can go ahead and read everything else. Whatever we are studying, we do it for sadhana and sadhya. But sometimes it can be confusing. Some Gaudiya Vaishnavas might present the principles and the philosophy in a way that might confuse us. Right? So not reading too many books means focusing on what the Siddhanta is, what we have been given, and practicing that. Then if we are more intellectually inclined, After our foundation has been built and we are well rooted in philosophy, then yeah, we can go and read other books. But this instruction here is to establish ourselves strongly in our sadhana bhakti. Straightforwardness and ordinary dealings and equilibrium in loss and gain. So this is yeah. Krishna himself says this in the 17th chapter. It was the 1716, 1715. That anudvegam karam vakyam satya prahitam chayat. That whatever you're saying, you're speaking should be truthful. Don't be duplicitous. Okay. So straightforwardness means that we are not duplicitous in our heart. There's no crookedness in my heart. What crookedness means is that I'm not pretending to be someone I'm not. That's the simple as simple. Straightforwardness means that I'm presenting myself as I am. That's straightforwardness. We should not be dishonest. Don't use devotional service as a license to be immoral. But on some occasions, we might have to speak a lie. So don't be overly moralistic also. So yeah. And then we're being told that ordinary dealings and equilibrium in loss and gain. Equilibrium in loss and gain, this Krishna talks about in the entire Bhagavad Gita. Right? He says this again. Sitoshna sukha dukkheshu samasanga vivarjita. Tulya nindastitar moni. So Krishna says this again and again, that equilibrium, he keeps repeating that. But then equilibrium doesn't mean you don't express your emotions. Like when Abhimanyu died, Arjun cried. But then he didn't lose his equilibrium. That's the more important part. If a death in a family happens, mourning, if you mourn, we all become, there's grief in our heart. But if that grief never goes away, that's not good. That means you have lost your equilibrium. That grief has to go away. That person, yes, an integral part of your family, your loved one, has left. Now you have to move forward. That's the way life is. So equilibrium in loss and gain. And that only comes when we have knowledge of Bhagavad Gita and scripture. So yes, equilibrium in knowledge in loss and gain. Demigods. We should not be offensive against demigods. That's what this is instructing us. Okay? Don't neglect to offer due respect to the demigods. Today is Shivratri. It's a very important day. Shivji is he's the Vaishnavanam Yatha Jambhu. He's the topmost devotee. He's the topmost devotee. That's what Prabhupada has taught us. Right? But then a Vaishnava also knows the position of these demigods. He's not unnecessarily becoming subservient to them. That's also important to understand. So, okay. And then there's, I think, one more. Not giving pain to any living entity. Okay. That's an interesting one. So just to let you know, these all are coming from the list that you saw in 6th chapter. There's nothing different in there. Okay. So not giving pain to any living entity. That's the quality of a devotee. Right? Titikshava karunika suhrda sarvadehinam. In the 3rd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Kapila Muni tells this to his mother, Devahuti. But what are the qualities of a sadhu? Titikshava karunika. Titikshava means patience. Karunika means they are very karuna, compassionate. So there's no giving pain to any living entity. And it's not just living entities, even within devotees. We have to be careful of that also. So we always have to be conscious of our surroundings and what's happening. How am I affecting the surroundings? Sometimes devotees, when they dance, they start stepping on other people's feet, and sometimes sometimes somebody gets hit with their hand or something. No, be cautious. It's not like don't try to pretend to be so involved in that process that you don't even see other people around you. That's not the way Prabhupada has taught us. So the hurting living entities, giving pain is not just for other living entities, also for devotees, people who are around us. And also the Lord. So yes, I'm just extending from here, but living entities there. But in general, also, if you see in the episode of the boar appearance of the Lord, So he was supposed to kill Hiranyaksh there. Before he kills Hiranyaksh uses a lot of expletives to deride and demean the Lord, and Lord gets hurt by that. Tudhyamanam, that's the word that is used in that third canto. Third or fourth canto, which one it is. So the Lord also gets hurt when we pain. So living entities we also are part and parcel of the Lord. So we also get that. So no giving pain to any living entity. And you can do that very easily by being cautious of your surroundings, of what you speak, how you speak it. So it's, as I said, it's not just the intent, but also the mood behind it that matters. Oh, sorry, not the action, but the mood. I think this is the last here. Yep. Next chapter is the offenses. Okay. Anything from anybody's end? We just wrapped up this section, 7th and 8th.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. My question is regarding the last one.
Yes, please.
Not giving pain to any living entity. It sometimes may happen that there may be a lot of mosquitoes in your home and you have to get rid of them. Otherwise, you may get some hurt or you may get some disease due to those mosquitoes. And then similar kind of living entities, roaches and mouses, they come into the home. And then you have to get rid of them. Otherwise, they're going to harm your home in some way or the other. So what would be our stand? If we get rid of them, because they obviously will be killed.
Yeah. So you can't do much about it in a simple way. In the which canto? I'm trying to think of. There is this Jivo Jivasya Jivanam. There is Narada Muni is talking to. It's in the same chapter, I think. Let me just I'll open that verse. I wanted to show it to you. I think it's in the same chapter I was quoting, 113, where Yudhishthir Maharaj discussion is happening. So let me see if I can pull that verse. Yes. Oh, I'm not sharing my screen. So this is 113:47, same chapter. Ahastani sahastanam apadani chatushpadam falguni tatra mahatam jivo jivasya jivanam. This is so those who are devoid of hands are prey for those who have hands. Those devoid of legs are prey for the four-legged. The weak are the subsistence of the strong, and the general rule holds that one living being is food for another. Prabhupada is telling us a systematic law of subsistence in the struggle for existence is there by the supreme will. And there is no escape for anyone by any amount of planning. So understand that. There is no escape. You cannot escape from this systematic law. I breathe, I kill so many insects. I walk on the street, unknowingly I step upon ants. Right? Every day when I take a shower, there might be some microorganisms growing on my skin. I kill them. So it's all by the supreme will, and we'll not be able to escape it. Right? So let me see if Prabhupada is. Yeah, there is nothing to be lamented if a tiger eats a weaker animal, because that's the law of the Supreme Lord, right? So, and then let me see. Yeah, there is no possibility of checking this tendency by any artificial means. It can be checked only by awakening the spiritual sense of human being by practice of spiritual regulations, right? It teaches us others peaceful coexistence, right? So, first of all, Prabhupada is telling us that what is happening, you cannot control that. So, don't unnecessarily spend your time and energy in trying to fix that. However, by your spiritual regulative principles, you can avoid things that you were doing them unknowingly, even though they were under your control. So, Prabhupada is giving us both those aspects. So, things that are not under your control, like killing those mosquitoes who can potentially kill you or infect you. I have a infection. So I took antibiotics, it's killing all the bacteria in my lungs probably. And it's needed. I need to be healthy. Remaining healthy is also a service that I'm doing so that I can work at my best for my spiritual master and for Krishna. Did that answer your question, Radhi? Did it make sense?
Yes, Prabhu. The only thing is that by doing so, do we incur any sin or something like that?
See, you will incur sins, but then it's unavoidable, right? Well, how can you avoid that? That is why Prabhupada is telling us, develop your spiritual. That's why Krishna is saying, Sardharman parityaja mamekam sharanam vraja. You can try to put so many rules and regulations. Some sections of the society, they put a cloth on their mouth because they don't want to breathe in insects, or not insects, but microorganisms.
Mm-hmm.
But then they walk on the street and they kill so many microorganisms because it's
Yeah.
completely unavoidable. The karma is unavoidable. The
Mm-hmm.
only way to get rid of that karma is to come to the platform of bhakti.
Okay.
And then Krishna takes care of it. Don't try to artificially fix the situations. You'll get so embroiled in that situation that you will forget the main purpose.
Okay.
That is what the message Prabhupada is giving us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, Prabhu.
You're welcome. Okay, last call. Any questions, thoughts, comments? Going one, going two, going three. Okay, nothing? Great. Okay, so let me pause the recording.